Hi, and welcome to the Johnny Random Show. Today I have Royce Johnson, who is running for Rutherford County Mayor. And today we're going to talk through a couple different things, some issues that's going on to our county, and hope you get a lot out of this.
I almost did this 4 years ago. But you got to understand something about my family. I don't have any biological children. Okay. I have 4 kids, 4 great kids, but I don't have any biological. Now, 2 of them are my stepdaughters from my wife's first marriage. Okay. They're 30 and 28. And 2 of them are mine from adoption. Okay. So my son was born in Florida. And my daughter was born in Georgia. Now he'll be 18 this year in October. She'll be 17 in this year in October. And they're both special need autistic children. So I almost did it 4 years ago, but they were going to be 13 and 14. And I was like, when it just came down to it, I said, no, my kids need me more in middle school and high school than the county needs me.
Yeah.
So I decided I'm not going to do it. And so this year they're going to be 17 and 18. And I asked my daughter, it's like, is it okay if daddy runs? Well, I asked both kids, I said, it's okay if daddy tries this time because he really wants to help people. And she said, sure, daddy. And I said, okay, so daddy's going to run this time. And so I sat down and I did some research before I ran. Okay. Now, what I did was I reached out to the city mayors and I asked to have some sit down time with each one of them. And so, I met with Jason Cole and I got to meet with Brian Hercules and Jeff Peach in Laverne. I didn't get to meet with Mary Esther, but I got to meet with Chad Lehman in Eagleville. And so the main reason I wanted to do that is because I understand the county perspective, okay? I wanted to understand how the current working environment existed between the current administration and them, and then also what their perception was of how the county and the cities work together, right?
Yeah.
And so because it was real key to me, simply because I know you have to work together to get things accomplished.
Yeah.
And if you're going to keep it bumping heads, then we're not going to get anything done except getting mad at each other and wasting taxpayers' money. And we don't want to do that. Right. So I sat down with each one of them. I talked to Shane Reeves as well, the state rep, and I think even one of the Commissioner Pettis Reed. I sat down with him and I said, okay, I've got enough information. I'm going to do it. I'll go ahead and do it this time. And so I went in. Of course, I filed my Republican petition to find out about the bona fide rule, and then went back with the independent. So that's kind of how I ended up in this. I would not have gotten in it if I didn't think that I could help the county. Now, what do I mean by that? I'll give you a little bit of my life history, and you've probably seen some of it or heard some of it if you watched the other forums. We grew up poor. We grew up on food stamps, government cheese, free lunch program. I'm a survivor of child abuse. Now, the one thing that I can say about that is my dad died in 2007, and we were okay when he died. I wanted him to know I'm not mad at him. Now, it took some years, and we tried to build a relationship towards the end, but he was actually sent to prison for about 12 years for the child abuse. And, but, the one thing that I learned is God, you don't get to pick your parents.
Yeah.
They're yours. He didn't say how good they are, how bad they are. They're your parents. Okay. And so you have to deal with that. And that's okay because you learn some things about family history and stuff and family stuff that you can break. Right. And so I kind of survived that, and I graduated. I went to school. I've been here 53 years. This is not like I just showed up yesterday. I've been here a while. And I went to Bradley Elementary. I went to Central Middle School. I went to Riverdale High School, where I graduated, went on to MTSU, and then on to Ashford University. This is what I was talking about earlier when we were just chatting, is I never dreamed about politics, ever. I was just a guy that after high school and started college, I got a chance to become an engineer and managers in companies. And so I worked my life as an engineer in management. I went over 20 plus years of management. But in college, I like to learn. Okay. And the older I get, the more I like to learn. So I kept saying, well, I want to learn about this. So I'd go get a degree in it. I've got 3 college degrees. I have a bachelor's in business administration. I have a bachelor's in public administration, government administration. I have a master's in criminal justice. So that's when I looked back up and I got just frustrated enough to say enough's enough in the county and decide to run. And then I get to thinking about it and I look up at God and go, okay, this is what you were doing. An engineer, a business owner, a private business degree, a public business degree, and a master's in criminal justice. And I kind of smile and go, were you setting this up? Because I never, ever intended to be in politics. And, you know, it's only because I care. If you watch the forum, you heard me say this.
Mm-hmm.
Politics should not be a career choice. It should be a servant's choice. You do it because you care and you want to help.
Yeah.
And you've got to listen to the people. Okay. You got to understand what's important to know what direction to even go or how to help. This should never be about you or your pocketbook or your choice or your popularity. None of that. Mm-hmm. This should always be about the people because that's who you work for.
Yeah.
And when they elect you and they get you enough votes, you work for them. You need to listen to them. So that's kind of the basis of this whole go round. I don't know if you noticed on my campaign signs on my cards, everybody's last name's the largest, but not mine. My first name's the largest. That was done for a reason. I want you to know me on a first name basis. Even as mayor, just say, hey, Royce, can I talk to you? Absolutely. Let me hear you. Let me say how I can help you. So that's kind of how I got into it. It's just simply a passion. You know, I want to help. I have the education to help. I have the business side to help. I have the engineering side to help. I can help.
Yeah.
But we have got to work together to get it done.
Yeah, I definitely heard you iterate those things on the thing that you definitely made a point to say that the listening thing. And I thought that was good. So yeah, let's just roll into these questions.
Okay.
What makes you different from the other candidates? And I think you've kind of gone into a little bit of that, but I just want to hear a little bit more about, you know, what makes you distinct.
Well, what makes me distinct first and foremost is the reason I'm doing it. It's because I care, my heart. I love this place. I've been here a long time, 53 years. And I think we're going backwards and we need to get caught back up. And you know, I've always said there's nothing wrong with growth. Growth is good, but it has to be controlled growth and planned growth.
Yeah. We
can't get chaotic growth because that's what you get. You get behind on infrastructure, you get behind on public safety, your crime rate goes up. The county is just one big business, right? Yeah. And if you jump into this basket and make a big mistake, it can hurt you over here. So when we go into a business plan, you go into a 3 and a 5 and a 10-year business plan, and you understand where you're at, where you're going, where your investments are, where your roadblocks are, and you remove those and you continuously improve. That's what we call that in business. We continuously improve. We get better and better and better and better. We don't always get to hit a home run, but we get better.
Yeah.
And so what makes me different is I have the business background to do that. Not only on the business I own, but the business I worked in forever. You know, I've been in engineering, 20 plus years of management. I've run companies. It's okay. I understand what it takes to get this thing done. But what helps me is the education part of it. I understand the private sector of business, but I also understand the government administration side of business. Mm-hmm. And the criminal justice kind of helps me blend those two together. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's I'm a people's person, right? I believe that when you ask me a question, you deserve an answer. If you cared enough to ask me a question, I should care enough to give you an answer, not dance around it. Okay. This is where we're at in this point in time. Now, could that answer change a little bit as we go? Absolutely. As we learn more, we grow, right?
Right.
So that's all part of this. This is the answer in your day and time. But we're constantly looking for improvements. So that will change over time. So my background, my fight to make it out, my education, all tells you why I'm different. I'm not a politician. I never intended to be a politician. I don't think it should be a career choice. It should be a service choice. And when we get in office, I believe this, when we get in office, we should not only be there to serve, but to teach.
Yeah.
Because we're old. I'll die one day. I'll be 56 this year. We need to be educating those that are working with us to move them right along to the next generation, because if we don't, we're going to end up with people who have no clue where we're at, right?
Yeah.
So we have to develop our team. Never be afraid to teach anybody everything you know, ever. I had that mentality in business. I'll give you everything I got. And if you think you need my job or somebody else thinks you need my job, you can have it. But I'm doing you no good if I'm not teaching you or helping you grow. And I'm doing the company no good, or in this case, the county no good, if I do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
That makes me different.
Yeah, I like that. One thing that while you're speaking that made me think of what in the past, you said there's the people in the past can maybe make decisions that can mess us up now, and then we need to make good decisions now that can go forward. So are there any like decisions that were made in the previous sessions that would have taken us in a little bit wrong direction that we need to correct? And then also, what is the vision forward? So what would you do when you win? And what on those terms, sorry, just on a timeline there.
No, not a problem. The very first thing is what you've got to do is you got to go in and assess each department and how it's running. You got to assess the work environment, how the people feel they've been treated. You look at tenure to see if it's a good work environment. You look at the KPIs, key performance indicators.
Yeah.
You find out whether they're meeting or whether we're lacking, and then find out why they're lacking. It may not be their fault. Maybe we didn't set them up for success. I mean, you can't ask somebody to succeed if you don't give them the tools to do it, right?
Right.
So we have to look at all that stuff, and we have to go, okay, here's where we're at. Now, here's what the public says is important. How do we get there? And to me, that's education. Now, maybe sometimes you're going to have to sit down with a commissioner 101 and just say, hey, we're not seeing eye to eye here. So let me hear your voice. And I'll let you hear my opinion. And we'll look at it and how do we get here? Because this ain't about me or you, it's about the people. So how do we get there? Because we got to fix it. We can't stay status quo. We got to go. So sometimes that may take what I call educational field trips. Sometimes you got to take them to reality and say, well, let's just see how this works, right? Let's get a real reality of how this works. That's a little bit outside the box, but you got to get outside the box if you want to progress now. The past is the past for a reason. That's why it's called the past. But if you stay right here in the past, you're never going to grow. If you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
You get me? You're just losing time because the world's going to go. And so as Rutherford County, anybody who signed that landfill deal way back then had no idea how many people were going to be here in this day and time.
Yeah.
You got it? So it made sense back then. It doesn't make sense now. And so those are kind of decisions that you've got to look at. And today we have so much information to us that we have to do our studies. We have to do age demographical studies. What's coming in here? What businesses are coming in? What's the pay rate? How many houses is that going to come? What's, the age demographic? How many elementary schools, middle schools, high schools? What's our road infrastructure? How are we going to get point A to point B, right? All that is one big part of the plan. You have to look at every bit of that. You can't go, well, this is just a landfill. No, it's not. It affects everything else. You bring a new company in here, that affects schools. It affects the amount of police officers, the amount of fire stations you need, EMT. How do I get them from point A to point B? I brought this up. I don't remember if it was on the radio forum Wednesday or was it on the mayoral forum Monday night. But the fact is, I think it was a mayoral forum. We've got roads right now that don't even have a pull-off. And when you get a fire or an ambulance truck or a cop behind that, and everybody stops like they're supposed to stop. Now, where are the poor people supposed to go? Seconds equals lives.
Yeah.
That stuff has to be fixed.
Yeah.
This road infrastructure stuff has to be looked at. And I'm afraid, in the past that either they did or they didn't look at it, whichever way. You have to look at it that way. That's somebody's life. Now, what if it's your family member?
Yeah.
You don't want that person stuck in traffic. So we have to do that. Now, how do you fix road infrastructure? Well, Lord knows that's a complex problem, right?
Yeah.
But you have to work with city mayors.
Mm-hmm.
You have to work with adjacent county mayors. You have to work with state. You have to work with everybody to say, listen, here's an issue. Now, everybody may have a little piece of the pie. It may be a state road, it may be a county road, it may be a city, whatever. But we have to come together and say, here's an issue. Let's put our heads together and come up with a plan to fix this, because this is important. This is a really a matter of life and death. Somebody could die right here. Okay. We have that one poor road in it's right in between. It's in Smyrna, but it's right past Sam Ridley on Murfreesboro Road. That turns to the left and goes up over the railroad tracks. I can't think of the name of the road right now.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
been a disaster for
Yeah.
accidents. Day in and out with people trying to go left and right and turn. And that really needs to be looked at. Now,
Yeah.
is that just a county thing? No. I got to look at that with the city of Smyrna, don't I?
Yeah.
So I've got to sit down with Brian Hercules and Jeff Peach and that crew and go, how can we fix this? Because I know if it concerns me, I'm almost positive it's already on their radar. They have to deal with it all the time, right?
Yeah.
So long answer, but we have to be able to move forward. And so these decisions that we make, maybe we don't need to give such a long term. Maybe we don't need to give 30-year contracts. Maybe we need to give 10-year contracts and let's revisit, see if this thing's working, right?
Yeah.
Because 30 years ago, it may have fit. 30 years in the future, it may not fit. So we need to start looking at the size of the contract, the length of the contract, and what it does for the company, as well as what it does for the county residents. Okay?
So moving forward, the landfill will stay on that. This is something you've identified. So is your solution there to look for a contract or look for solutions that are fix the immediate crisis, but don't set us down a path that's too hardened so that we can sort of be adaptable years down the road? Is that kind of a
there's a lot going on there with the landfill. Very, very, very complex issue. And you've got different things going on there, right? Part of Republic has already started negotiation with this landfill with the current administration.
Yeah.
And that is, they would like to buy that out, the old landfill out. Now here's why. They need the dirt, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they need the dirt. But to do that in renegotiating that contract, there's some benefits in there. Okay. Mm-hmm. But there's also some negatives in there. So the benefit is that you buy that landfill out. And as you create the new landfill and clean that one up, you clean it up with a new landfill that is now lined like it should have been to begin with, right? And I understand some people say, well, I'm not sure I want to touch that dirt. I'm not sure what's in it. But here's the kicker. They're also willing to take the EPA liability. Now, that's huge. Yeah. Because that takes the environmental liability off of Rutherford County and puts it on Republic. So now, whatever they get into, they're going to have to fix and clean. Yeah. Right? Not at taxpayers' dollars. So it helps clean up the old landfill, fix it, get rid of some of that nasty smell that's out there and the drainage into the waterway because it's not lined. Okay. And we'll get into the other two possibilities right now, waste away and Pratt. We're going to get into both sides of that. I want to talk about that because, you got some diehards that are all waste away and some diehards that are all Pratt. And I'm going to give you some of both. Okay. And this is why we have to continue the discussions because recycling is key. But anyway, so it picks up that, right? So if you've got the old landfill being cleaned, shut down by the end of the year, starting to be cleaned up now, fixed into a new landfill that's got a liner so we get the smell out of it, then picking up the EPA. Now the host fees can double, so we get paid more. We can reduce the amount of counties going in it. Okay. Because that unlimited county thing is not the answer. They never back then, I believe with all my heart, Nancy Allen never said, well, yeah, just bring in 100 counties. Rutherford County can handle it. I understand the land in Rutherford County is expensive. But there's just so much we can get into with that thing because we got to get to affordable housing. But the thing is that gets the start of the cleanup and the fix and the environmental liability off of us. Okay, there's a start. Now, let's talk about the waste away and the Pratt and the recycling end of this. Everybody brings up waste away, and I get waste away, and I understand the pellets, and I understand that, you know, they're basically it's a what they call a fluff, and it's pellet, but it's a dirty MRF, so they're taking in everything. It's not a clean MRF. Pratt's a clean MRF. Okay, so with the waste away thing, and you're talking about a pellet, you can make like housing, roofing material stuff out of it in the last 30 years. The problem that you got is they keep saying they meet this certification, and they'll bring up, well, you know, we talked to TVA and about the gas. Well, every time they've been asked to present that certification, they haven't presented it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so now I'm open, but you got to show me you can do this.
Yeah.
I love your idea. Yes, I love your idea, but you've been asked to produce it and you haven't done it. Okay. So now I have to continue to look at my options. Well, let's look at Pratt. Okay. Pratt's willing to come in off of Florence Road, build a nice facility, put in the rail system's there, but put in a little side rail system to pick up the recyclables. It's a clean MRF. They're willing to pay to put the compactors at the high schools for plastics and the cardboard. It's a clean MRF, not dirty. It's not taking all the trash. Okay. They're willing to pick it up at no cost to the county resident. Okay, so it's not increasing your cost at all. And so they'll take that and then do the recycling. Well, that in itself is going to reduce about 35 to 45% going into the landfill. So now we're going to help reduce it that way too.
Yeah.
So one option on the table would be looking at the renegotiation with Republic and Pratt working together to reduce, fix, clean the area up. And then the other option is waste away. I hear waste away. I get it. But you keep saying you meet a specification. And the reason you don't have the TVA contract is because you can't produce that paperwork.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's a problem.
So that turns into a pellet right now that can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So where are you going to use it? You've got to meet that certification before the environmental is going to sign on it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's all I'm saying. I don't have a problem with either one.
Yeah.
But to me, all options are on the table until we figure out what's the best option for Rutherford County. So I'm not one of these that just said, you got to go this way with Pratt. You got to go this way with Wasteway. You got to no. We got to do what's best for Rutherford County and its citizens. That's what we got to do. Whatever that is, that's what we have to do.
Do you know what the timetable is for Republic's contract negotiation? Right now, you said they're working with the current.
They are working with the current administration, I can tell you.
Yeah.
And they're still working on that. And you know, the real key is the final numbers, right? Okay. But that doesn't touch anything from a recyclable standpoint, right?
Yeah.
We're just talking Rutherford County. I can't solve Cannon and Coffee, all the people that are coming in it. We can handle Rutherford County. So we still got waste away in Pratt, you know, and I'll be honest with you, Pratt's even said that they would go into Murfreesboro City if Murfreesboro City would allow them to do it. Now, Murfreesboro City is kind of, from my understanding, I haven't talked to Shane McFarland, from my understanding, they're kind of stuck with on this waste away is the way. And they very well may be right if they certify that they passed that testing.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yeah.
It may be the case. I have no qualms with that. But right now, we can't just lock into either or.
Yeah.
Because we have to see what's going to work for Rutherford County. And we don't need to continue down this path just because we're locked on one or the other. We've got to start doing something now. So that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. Makes a lot of sense to me. So, well, let's transition a little bit of housing, affordable housing. And I kind of want to put a little nuance in my question here. So To me, it seems to be that there is potentially a lot of talk on recession on the horizon and a housing bubble. So, we could see some property values, going down. But as of right now, this is a very, very expensive place to live in Rutherford County. Not the most expensive, probably in the, obviously Middle Tennessee, but it's a very expensive place. So we have a problem with affordable housing. So if you'll just, what would you do, or what do you think that the plan or strategy should be in if there is a recession on the horizon, and if things maintain, what would you do? So kind of two different sort of similar questions, and they might be the same strategy. So
well, they're not, because you've got multiple things going on. Okay.
right.
Yeah. First, I have this conversation all the time. I always ask people, please tell me an 18 to 30-year-old who could afford to buy a house in Rutherford County now. They can't.
No.
We're not doing them any favors by doing this. Because what happens? They're stuck at home. They're not learning bill pay. They're not learning struggles. They're not learning life. And then when they finally get a job that pays them enough to be able to get out and afford something, they're behind.
Yeah.
So this isn't going to work. We have got to do something here. Okay. So my option on this is, one, first and foremost, when we bring companies in here, we need to understand how they fit in our community, and our community benefits them, right? We benefit each other. So there don't need to be no 10-year tax exemptions. I'm okay with getting you started.
Yeah.
I'm okay to giving you a 2 or 3 year tax exemption, but then you're going to have to start paying back. So all that's built in that 3 to 5 to 10-year business plan. Now, because you have to give some of that resource. Okay.
Right.
We have to get better paying jobs. We have to get the income level up. Okay. Even, somebody now, they can't even afford a single 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
It's crazy, the price, because of the rate of pay where the companies are versus where the housing is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple of situations there. Is one, you got to get the rate of pay up, but two, we got to work with some builders and say, we don't need all 3,000 square foot houses, guys. Remember the little 1,200 foot square house that we started with? The 1,000 square foot house, those are called starter homes. We have got to help our kids. Now, I understand that when you sell a house, it's per square foot, right? So much, that house is rated at so much dollars per square foot. And if I stack it up and I open up these big aerated rooms, it's just more money and less cost because I don't put material in it. I get it. That ain't going to work for our young people.
Yeah.
And we have to set this county up that we bring the jobs in, that one will pay them more, benefits more, but then also work with the builders to say, hey, we got to create some kind of affordable housing here for this younger generation, because this is what's coming. All these families are coming, and the age demographic of high school, where are we going to put them? They can't afford $400,000, $500,000 houses right out the gate.
Yeah.
So we have to work with them to say, okay, within the planning commission, maybe it's a regulation or a rule. We just have to get in there that we have to figure out how we're going to get some of this down, right?
Yeah.
And so once we do that, they're not going to stay there. That's the amazing thing, right? When you start out in a 1,200 square foot house and now you've gotten together and you got your life together, you got benefits, you got your family, what do? You sell it, you go buy another.
Yeah.
Right? Now you buy a bigger house. Well, we ran out of starter homes.
Yeah.
We quit building them. And so we have to plan our infrastructure better. Okay. We have to understand what companies coming in, where they're at, where the schools are, where the fire station, where the houses are, and what piece of land that's foresight. Where's our roadway going to go? Where's our housing going to go? We have to have that big map, is what I call it, a big road map to get there. And right now we don't have that. So I don't see that.
Yeah.
Okay? Maybe there's some more details that I don't know, but when we get in, we'll find out.
Yeah.
And then that has to be a focus. That has to be a conversation with us to help our community grow. Okay. Because the last thing I want from Rutherford County is simply this. This is a place you want to come to. I don't want it to become the place you want to leave.
Yeah.
Because we've got uncontrolled growth, chaotic growth, and we got a higher crime rate and people can't afford things. So they start going out to these outer counties. We already see some of that. Some of the money goes out to Manchester, Woodbury, and things like that because it's just getting too big too fast.
Yeah.
Okay. Detroit's a good example of that. If you look at them when they first started, and then the automotive came in, and then it's just boom, boom, boom. But they grew so fast, it killed them.
Yeah.
Now, where's the automotive? It's down I-20. Detroit's down I-20 now. You got all the automotive plants. We're a great location for suppliers. We got Nissan here, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're a great location for suppliers. But the housing went up so fast. And I'm trying to say this the right way. I'll just say it. And that thing we got in the White House don't have a brain, okay? That our kids and our families couldn't keep up. And so, yeah, you've got inflation. You raised the interest rate. You're probably going to raise the interest rate again before the end of the year. And the people that have these adjustable rate mortgages ain't going to be able to keep the house. The economy's coming down. The jobs are coming down. People are laying off. You still got to make money in business, right?
Yeah.
Everything's up so much. Everything costs so much. Now, all of a sudden, people are losing jobs and houses are back on the market. And we got this great big old house that even though it's in foreclosure, who's going to buy it?
Yeah.
The investor. The investor's going to buy it. And then he's going to rent it.
Yeah.
We don't need that. We need people who need the house.
Yeah.
So it is a big, big, complex issue, but it is achievable. But we're going to have to do this one together. They're going to have to give on both sides. The builders have got to give. The jobs coming in here has got to give. The county residents are going to have to give a little bit, but we can fix it. We can get it back under control, but it is something that's going to require all of us. That is a big issue.
Yeah, it is a big issue. And I know that it's tough. And I like having somebody that, as you've laid out in that role, that understands that it's a big issue, and that understands that the scope of it and understands that, my, family members are, getting to their mid-20s and looking at trying to buying a house now. And it's not a possibility.
Yeah.
It's not a possibility at their prior pay rate. And then to have to go back to school, take on more debt to get a better job. And now your debt to income ratio is, so high. So how are you going to get a house now? And then interest rates going up. Yeah. I mean, it's a mess. It's a total mess. From my perspective, something has to be done, and I'm all free market. I'm all pro business, but we need businesses that are also able to understand the needs of, what has to be done, and not just, it might be the best thing, like you articulated to build these big houses, it might be where the money's at, but also to have some sort of, okay, you got to do it. You got to do other things as well. You got to provide smaller houses. So I like that. I like it all. Well, my last question isn't really a question. It's just more of diversity and growth. We kind of talked in that through here, but I know that as, Rutherford County grows, we're a very diverse county. I'm in an interracial marriage myself, and I see a lot of, people moving here speaking different languages. And I know I've spoken to teachers, that have, you're trying to teach people, but they don't speak the language yet. And so, you have to teach them the language first and then that. So there's all sorts of needs on the school level. So I just don't know do you have anything to the school and the growth and diversity here, anything to speak to on that level?
Well, yeah, it's right up my alley. I'm married to a Thai lady. I understand it. My wife is I understand the real estate market too. My wife is a real estate agent. She's been with a real estate agent for 17 plus years with Keller Williams. But she's also I think one of the only certified court interpreters in the Thai and Lao language for the Tennessee Supreme Court in the regular court system. And so we are constantly helping those communities. Now, my stepdaughters are Thai. They were born here, but they're Thai. And about my two autistic kids. But yes, diversity is welcome. There's nothing wrong with learning somebody else's culture. Doesn't mean you have to have the same belief system or anything else. But what's wrong with understanding?
Yeah.
What's wrong with asking the question? So what better way to do this than to create a community, a Rutherford County community that accepts Thai, Lao, Mexican, Puerto Rican, whatever, It doesn't matter what the nationality is, and learning each other. You know, we have different days, of the year to get to know this culture or that culture. Well, what's wrong with having a community day?
Yeah.
An idea like that, a community day. I get to help the Thai and Lao community and everybody else because they'll ask me some kind of legal question, and my wife will translate if they can't speak to me. And I get asked to help fix a car key. That's okay, because in my life, it's all about serving and helping others. So I enjoy that. And that's what makes me and my wife a great partnership, is because she enjoys helping others too. But the key is that we need everybody to accept that, right? It's not for everybody. Maybe somebody doesn't want a wife or a husband from a different ethnicity. Maybe they want it from their own race. That's okay too. There's nothing wrong with that. But I've always enjoyed, learning the culture or the food. And my wife, she goes spicy hot, and I'm going, hey, there's a level here.
Yeah.
I tried this one, but that's all I'm going to do because it's too hot for me. And my stepdaughter, she can run you out. My wife can't even keep up with her. She likes it so hot. From a diversity standpoint, we should teach each other about each other's culture. And, there's translators everywhere. My two stepdaughters can both speak English and the Lao language. So, but they're not interpreters. But if they got a friend that has a question, they can get it both ways. And so I have friends that speak Spanish and English. And so, we can always learn about each other's culture. So I think there needs to be an extra step in there about creating diversity awareness, right? But I shouldn't have, I'm going to say this because I want everybody to understand. I'm a Christian. I believe in God, okay? That's where I stand. That's me, okay? I don't have to accept believing in Allah, Buddha, anybody else. Okay? God gave us a choice to believe in him or not. That's what he'll make us, but he don't want to make us. But I'm just telling you where I come from. It should be a choice. It should be a want. It should be a want to serve others. It should be a want to learn. Okay? And that's where I think we've gotten so, boy, this is a harsh word, selfish. If it doesn't fit in my world, I don't want it. Instead of acceptance of somebody's world, it does not mean that you believe their acceptance in their belief system, right? Okay. Everybody comes to a different place and time for different reasons. I mean, my childhood was pretty rough. I came out this way. I've got brothers who didn't come out this way. Okay. That's our life. So from a diversity standpoint, I think we ought to create more awareness, more maybe diversity culture days, maybe put some community projects together and just have food festivals where we enjoy each other's food, not necessarily about belief systems or something, or just, try different things and speak to one another. The one thing I say about these darn cell phones is we've lost patience with cell phones, Hey, if that thing spins for 1 second, it's just like, come on, right? Yeah. When we look back at it, I'll tell you what my autistic kids have taught me. Some people ask me and say, is it hard? Absolutely, it's hard. Some days it's hard. But they remind me of one thing. I don't have problems. Just to watch them go through a day and struggle through a day, I don't have problems. So why do we always got to judge somebody about the way, the way their culture is, or a mixed culture? I don't want to do it. I'd love a society that treated each other as human beings, whether we agree or disagree, right? We can sit and talk all day long. You can disagree with me all day long, and that's great. I have my belief, and that's welcome to American freedom of speech, right? Yeah. Up to the point of insider rights. You can't touch me, tear up a building or something. But yeah, we're free to disagree on opinions. We just don't have that though. I don't feel it. You know, I'm part of the Tyne community because I'm married in it.
Mm-hmm.
These guys accept me for who I am. I can't speak their language like my wife does, but they accept me, and I'm there to try to help them if I can. And that makes me feel comfortable around them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I go to World Outreach Church. I'm a Christian. I don't go to the temple and
Mm-hmm.
worship, Buddha. They accept that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I just wish as a society, as Rutherford County citizens, we could get to that point. I should be able to stay my state of belief. And, and we had great Supreme Court rulings here, Ellie, amen.
Mm-hmm.
With the Roe v. Wade and the coach that was told he could pray in public.
Yeah.
That's his choice. He wasn't harming anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I like it.
Yeah.
You weren't infringing on somebody. You weren't forcing anybody to do anything. So sorry, I got way
No.
off, but it's a passion of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in diversity and working together. I really do. I believe we need more of that. We could learn so much from each other's.
Yeah.
You can always learn something through a struggle. The key thing for me getting in is listening.
Yeah.
It's about listening and then working. And we can do that. We can help this county go forward. We can see where we are in 4 years. We got to make sure there's somebody in the group learning, because they got to take over. And I'm proud of you that you want to get in. I'll be honest with you, because a lot of young people don't. I've said myself, I'm like, I see why good, decent, hardworking people don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
From the attacks and just the craziness of it. And I'm like, I haven't done anything to anybody. But the key is you can't let that stop you.
Yeah.
So don't quit on your mission, because those things are going to come. And just fight through that. So, I kind of leave this election into the hands of Rutherford County citizens, and I leave the election into God, and we'll see what happens. I'm the guy that's supposed to not have a chance. But I believe in God, and I believe in the Rutherford County citizens. So I might just have a chance.
I like that.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. This has been an absolute honor for me to get to interview you and to learn a little bit what you're about and your candidacy. And we wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for doing this for me. I appreciate it.
I know early voting goes on July 15th, right?
July 15th to the 30th.
Okay.
And election day is August 4th. Now, I'm going to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
The thing here is that this is post-COVID. So
Yeah.
You got to understand, back in the day, elections were won on election day and you watched the polls and this. Since COVID, that's not the case.
Yeah.
This election will probably be won in early voting.